Thanks for having me. My name is Bill Ottman. I'm the founder of Minds.com, which is a free, open source, and encrypted social networking platform that rewards users with digital currency, and it's powered through voting. So we're actually going to be using some of our tools to help Boston Global Forum pick some of the choices for Global Cybersecurity Day. And really what we've created is a template and a model for businesses, governments, and individuals to use for their websites to maintain security. So a lot of people don't even really understand that free and open source software, encryption, security, and access to information are problems that they even have. Sort of this, we use these devices, pretty much everyone has a website, but no one's really thinking about encryption or whether or not their website is proprietary or open source. I'm going to explain a little bit about why that matters. So the difference between free and open source software and proprietary software has to do with access to information. So with free software, you're able to use, modify, distribute, and improve upon the code that's powering your application. With proprietary software, the blueprints essentially of your website or app are kept secret. The best metaphor that I've come up with to make it a little bit more digestible is with food. So what we're seeing in the global food landscape is this split between conventional food and organic food, and there's a big push to label food so that people understand what they're consuming. So the same applies for free and open source software. If you use a license with the application that is free and open source, then you're able to understand what that application is doing to you. And with free and open source software, it's more peer-reviewed. So the global community can inspect it, understand how it works, and make a judgment as a community as to whether or not it's worth using. So in terms of encryption, if you look at the top 100 websites in the world, actually only 3 are free and open source. Those are Wikipedia, Reddit, and WordPress. Otherwise, it's all proprietary, and actually of the top 100 sites, almost none are encrypted fully. So, we understand with the surveillance situation that emails, messages, it's all being surveilled in bulk. Now, surveillance is obviously necessary in some senses, but we don't really have a system that is intelligent enough to selectively choose through warrants which is actually necessary to surveil. So some recommendations for encryption. The Electronic Frontier Foundation has started a campaign called HTTPS Everywhere. A lot of people don't know what HTTPS is. When you go to a website, sometimes you'll see HTTP, sometimes you'll see HTTPS. If you don't have HTTPS, you're much more vulnerable to hacking. So HTTPS is super necessary. Recently, both the UN and MIT have come out with reports stating that encryption is crucial to everybody's security. So this question of whether we should be compromising our encryption in order to be more secure, based on the reports of the UN and MIT, those are flawed ideas. Basically, encryption makes everyone safer, whether it's governments, individuals, or corporations. There's a great chilling effect that happens with freedom of speech when people can't trust that or know whether they're being surveilled or not. So when we make encryption universal, people are much more liberated to exercise their freedom of speech. So there's a little bit of a paradox between transparency and security, but actually they're very synergistic. So when you share the code, the global community is able to inspect it and make it more secure. There's sort of a misperception that if you keep things secret, you'll be more secure, but actually you earn all sorts of respect worldwide when you share information. So just a few solutions. Making it easy to be secure is super important. A lot of people don't care enough to learn about how to encrypt themselves. So that's a lot of what we're doing with Minds, is making it feel like any other social network, but you know that your data is being encrypted, kept safe, and you know that everything you type isn't being logged. And when you send a message, it feels just like any other easy application, but it's encrypted. Also, standards for data sharing. I mean, in the cloud, we sort of use the cloud and don't pay much attention to what that actually means. So when software is free and open source, that means that you have the ability to run it on your own server. Now, not everybody's going to do that, but just the fact that you have the ability to do it is a big step in the right direction. A lot of governments are switching to GNU Linux, which is the free operating system that no one really knows about, that powers about 70% of the world's financial infrastructure. So governments switching to Linux and free and open source software enables, and one conversation that Jeremy and I were having is sort of automating systems so that warrants can be requested much faster, so that if someone is shown to be a threat, then they're not just going to surveil everyone, but we can build a system that makes it faster to achieve those warrants, rather than just forcing everyone to be surveilled. And yeah, it's just it's a tough problem. It's very complicated. It's technical, and we need to educate the policymakers. But now we're building up a pretty serious supply of reports that make it clear that encryption is important, that free and open source software is important. So if we can have the policymakers understand this, they're most likely not even going to fully understand it, but there comes a point where they're going to have to just take the word of the experts and without these policies.